We will be exploring how to set up a main menu for a game within the Blender game engine today. It's going to be a very basic menu with 3 selections, a play button, credits button, and an exit button. And we're going to start off deleting everything that we have here in the default 3D view within Blender, and start off by inserting a new plane as well as a camera and a lamp so we can see what we're doing. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull everything up above this plane, including the camera and the illuminating source, the sun. And as you can see here on this top perspective, we now have our plane with the camera above and then the sun above that. I'm going to switch into our camera perspective, and I'm going to make sure that this plane is filling the whole camera view, as in our rendered version or play mode, we don't want any blue area. Okay, so I'm going to size this up within the area of the outer dotted line, because that's the area that will be rendered. So I'm going to scale the plane up a bit and then scale it along the x-axis, make sure it's filling in, and like I said, we only really need to go to the dotted line. Alright, and that should do it. And if we happen to render the current frame, you can see that there's no blue area, which is good. Now if we moved it out a little bit, you would notice that there's some blue area up here. That's what we don't want. Alright, now that we have a plane that's covering the full rendered area, I'm going to introduce an image onto the plane. I'm going to UV map it. So I'm going to open a picture that I'd previously saved into Blender models, and this is the image right here. What I'm going to have to do is unwrap, well, or at least give the UV editor a perspective, and what I'm going to do is within the UV calculation, I'm going to project it from the view, and now we can see what we're actually going to be texturizing on the plane. I'm going to scale this up a bit so the full image is just about in there, and then if we go back over here and we click textured, you'll see that our picture from the UV editor is now mapped onto the plane. Now we can go ahead and start adding text, and to do this, basically within your add menu, you just start adding text. However, there's one thing that I want to mention here. If we render it, nothing shows up. So if we render this animation, nothing is going to show up, and that can be a problem. So what we have to do is make sure we convert the text into a mesh before we render. Now what I've done here is I've skipped ahead and I've added the text, and all that I did was basically just add text and type this in as well as position it. Now once we're at this part, we are going to have to transform these into a mesh, as a rendered image will not show them unless they are indeed transformed into a mesh. Now we can do that by shortcut Alt-C and converting it simply to a mesh. And now if we render this, I'm just adding material here. This way it will show up as a rendered image. Okay, so now that we have these colored, you can now see that they are indeed showing up in the rendered version. The UV mask will not, however, in the game mode it will, and trust me on that.